All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rachacha Kodash. Double honors to the head apostle, Nellis Great Millstone, who will well and teach well. Peace and blessings to you, sincere Akim, that are pushing this truth all over the four corners of the earth, week in and week out, in all truth and sincerity, and Shalom to the elect. I want to touch on this incident that happened a couple of days ago in Philadelphia. I want to play this video clip first of this news report entitled 12-Year-Old Shot and Deleted While Filming Music Video in Northwest Philadelphia, police say. Okay. And you already know that this is Jake. Okay. And as you see in the title, Black culture is death. And black culture, which is set up and designed by none other than Esau Edom, was set up for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans' demise. Okay. So without further ado, let's jump into this video.
Archer. Tonight, we are learning a 12-year-old was killed in a shooting in East Pastoria Street this afternoon. We begin with NBC 10 Shair Arias joining us live at West Oak Lane with the latest on this investigation underway right now. Shair?
Good afternoon, Johnny. We are actually right across the street from where that shooting happened, where that 12-year-old died. We had to move because things became a little bit tense just moments while we were there. Neighbors have been coming up to us all day asking exactly what happened. They are shocked to hear that something like this would happen the day before Mother's Day.
This is so sad to think this happened. This is a very quiet block. I love my block. And to hear something like this.
Investigators say the 12-year-old boy was inside this home of the 1500 block of East Pastoria Street Saturday afternoon. Officials say at around 12:30, they responded to a call about a person with a gun. They found a 12-year-old boy suffering from a gunshot wound to his stomach. In just a matter of minutes, the child was pronounced dead at the hospital. Investigators say the boy was filming a music video inside the house with two other teens, a 15 and 17-year-old. It is unclear which one of the teens fired the weapon.
Obviously, there were live guns there. The crime scene also consists of some other weapons, some BB guns, some fake guns. So how that live gun got there, who it belongs to, that is still all under investigation.
Detectives were seen coming in and out of the residence where the weapon was discovered. Family members who police say were inside the home during the shooting are being questioned. Police say the music video that was being recorded by the teens is a key piece of evidence in the investigation.
We're in possession of, however, there needs to be, legally warrants secured with respect to accessing that information.
Neighbors on the block were shocked to find out a tragedy like this would happen on their block a day before Mother's Day.
The videos, I think, now are so violent. And these kids, I just don't understand. You know, I was raised where you didn't play with guns.
Now, officials did tell us that the 12-year-old boy did not live inside this home. They say that they are still investigating if this was an intentional or an accidental.
And there's no outcry, to what is pushed amongst the communities of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans concerning what you see on TV, concerning these music videos, concerning hip-hop, rap, these various different things that circle around quote-unquote so-called black culture, all right, which ultimately leads to Jake doing stupid shit, okay? And this was all set up by these wicked elite Edomites, and they pushed this heavy amongst you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The hip-hop, the rap influences what? Influences the violence. It influences the gangbanging. It can influences the selling and distribution of the drugs. Also, the intake and the usage of drugs was a detriment amongst you Israelites. And this was all set up by design. Okay? It's funny how our videos get strikes, our channels get taken down, but you can watch a video of a chick shaking her ass and telling, you know, you women to be sluts and whores, right? You can get the blueprint, the outline of how to be very, very wicked from these various different things that are promoted and pushed, especially over here in Babylon the Great. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 14, and let's go down to verse 12. It says, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. And, you know, so-called black culture, hip-hop, rap, that is all pushed upon us. But not only that, our people have taken what Esau has prescribed with them and ran with it. You know, this younger generation, you know, the people that have been before them, they allow their children, their grandchildren, okay, the younger generation to be heavily influenced by hip hop and rap and the various different things that they see in Hollywood. Okay. Moreover, they intake these things that they see in Hollywood and hip hop and rap. Okay. Your 60 or 70-year-old grandma, you know, she's in the car bumping Sexy Red. She's dressing provocative at the bar. She's shaking her ass at the club. Okay. And the young Jakes, you know, the young women, the young man, Israelite man is witnessing these things. And they're constantly analyzing the things that they see. And it leads to what you see right here in this video, man. You know, this news report of this 12-year-old shot filming a music video. All right. He wanted to be like, you know, these various different rappers. And here it is. They had a real gun with live ammunition, and which I believe he either, you know, shot himself or, you know, the person that he was with. I'm pretty sure it was an accidental shooting, shot him. Okay. And, you know, these 12, 13, 14-year-old young boys and young women, you ask them what they want to be when they get older, when they grow up, this, that, and so forth. I bet you it's somewhere along the line of some type of entertainment, you know, a movie star, or most likely a rapper, okay? Some type of hip hop artist or R&B singer. It says, Proverbs 14:12, again, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness. And really, this is the mindset of the majority of our people. They're in a state of mirth. They think they got it all figured out. They think that what they're involved in is right. They're in these various different doctrines and religion. They think that they're on the right path. But the end of their ways, lest they repent, is going to result in death. This is Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. And you could associate the leaders of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans being these rappers, these hip-hop artists, these niggas in Hollywood. I mean, you can just do a simple YouTube search concerning, you know, rap and drill music videos, and the things that are allowed to be on the airwaves. But here it is, your video get taken down because you said Esau, you know, because you lined up a couple scriptures and a couple words together in the same sentence. You know, it was considered hate speech, right? Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna do a little quick Google search just for informational purposes. Bear with me one moment. So here it is. I just did a simple YouTube search with drill rap music videos. All All right, and this is what pops up. You know, a majority of these people have already been deleted. Okay, they become victims to the things that they were promoting. You know, King Von, Armed and Dangerous, right? 125 million views. You know, and this is what is promoted amongst the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. You know, drugs, violence, getting involved in various different gangs. Okay, this being a complete all-time ultimate nigga, right? You know, and you know we have a new formation in these end times that we're living in concerning the YN, right? This is the ultimate creation of Esau Edom. He has created the YN, you know, who's completely mindless, right? But you don't see no outcry from these so-called communities of Jake. Jake promotes this. Jake stands up for this. When these niggas get whacked, what do they say? You know, R.I.P. When these niggas get locked up for some heinous crime, free my nigga such and such, right? Even the Christian church, man, they allow niggas to come into their Christian church that, you know, promote this type of behavior. This nigga right here, Little Baby, was invited to a Christian church, Baptist church, to give a testimony. Like he was going to stop promoting violence upon the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Let's see if it's even still on YouTube. Yeah, Little Baby walks in a church and speaks a humble message with a standing ovation. So he spoke a message and got a standing ovation, right? Did he say, you know, I'm no longer going to promote violence and drugs and all types of wickedness upon my people? Hell no, he didn't, man. He got a standing ovation. The pastor said, thank you for coming in. You done brought a whole lot of more influence to my church, more members. People are going to pay the tithes better than ever now. Okay, because they know Little Baby, this rapper, set foot on my stage, right?
Not live inside.
This is Isaiah 9:16 again. It says, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. You know, our people have a problem with this truth. You know, they have a problem with the men out there in the highways and byways that are pushing the full 100% truth, but they don't have a problem with these Jakes who promote various different things that keep Jake in the position that we're currently in. Okay. And our people are constantly seeking change, seeking, you know, something better for the, you know, the communities and the areas where Jake lives. But there's underlying problems that our people are a part of that they're not willing to give up and they're not willing to change. Okay. Let's go to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 15. It says, woe to him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that they mayest look on their nakedness. And ultimately, that Esau Edom has heavily put the bottle to the mouth of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And he's able to do this. Why and how? Because he's in the position of power to do so. Let's go to, Micah, the 2nd chapter. This is Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds when the morning is light. They practice it. And this is what Esau Edom does. This is his job. This is his business. Okay. It says, when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Pursuant to Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So Esau Edom has the power to do these various different things. Okay. Let's go back to Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 15. It says, woe to him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken, also that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Yeah, they promoted rap and hip hop, and they have set up these various different organized gangs and crime in your communities, and they flooded your streets with drugs, heroin, cocaine, meth, and they made it hip. They made it cool for you to be a drug dealer. They made it hip. They made it cool for you to be on drugs. Okay. They made it hip. They made it cool for you to be a low life. Right. Verse 16, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cups of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee. Yeah, Esau, he's not going to get away. He's going to receive just punishment for his ill doings, for his wickedness. Okay. It says, let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Verse 17, for the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of the beast, which made them afraid because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein.
One of the teens fired the weapon.
Obviously, there were live guns there. The crime scene also consists of some other weapons, some BB guns, some fake guns. So
there were live guns there, and the parents were somewhere around. The parents, the most likely the mother, had some type of knowledge of their children doing a music video. Okay, and this is another thing, that the single mothers, the man not being in the household. This is the outcome of these various different events. Okay, these jails, these prison houses being packed, gang violence, the Jake being on drugs, and these various different things that are a problem amongst the Israelites. Okay, they have a lot to do with, the man not being in the household and the woman raising these children, which ultimately it's Esau having the influence over the woman in raising these children. Okay, setting up these benefit programs, setting up these various different things for a woman to be able to thrive with not having a man in the home. And these women stand upon being independent. I'm an independent single mother, and I'm proud of it. They stand upon it. They boldly claim that. They wear that as a badge of honor. That's not something to be proud about. Okay, in the manner that they're taking it, right? How that live gun got there, who it belongs to, that is still all under investigation. Yeah, the mother probably gave the child the gun. Or I said, hey, here, little Ronnie, here, we use this in your music video. Here, I'll take the clip out, not knowing she probably had one in the chamber, right? Or who knows, man? But I bet my bottom dollar that this was a single parent household.
Detectives were seen coming in and out of the residence where the weapon was discovered. Family members who police say were inside the home during the shooting are being questioned. Police say the music video that was being recorded by the teens is a key piece of evidence in the investigation.
Yeah, my son gonna be the next big rapper. My son gonna be the next Lil Wayne, right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 30. In verse 9, it says that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Our people don't want to hear the truth. Okay? They don't want to hear the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. They want to hear what the pastors got to say. They want to hear what Hollywood's got to say. They want to hear what these rappers got to say. They want to hear what Esau's got to say, what the president's got to say. They're not concerned about what the prophets got to say, the true prophets, the true prophets are speaking the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Verse 10 would say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto his right things. And they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear that Esau, Edom, is in rulership and is your enemy. Okay, and all the various different things that he's doing behind closed doors. Like the scripture says, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, but the majority of our people, they're ignorant. They don't know what's going on. And they're willfully ignorant. Okay, they don't want to know. And even if you tell them that, they're not going to believe. Right? It says, Prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy to cease. They want to hear everything's going to be okay, that there's a future in being a rapper. There's a future in Hollywood, there's success, and that black culture is something good. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear that these various different things have been set up against us by design. Okay, this is a warfare that Esau Edom has strategically placed and weaponized various different things for the demise and the destruction of you Israelites, man. Okay, it says, "Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us." They don't want to hear about Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They want to hear about Jesus Christ. Okay. Verse 12, "Wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression and perversion." See, they did trust in the ways of Esau Edom. They trust in these various different things that keep Jake in the position that he's in, that furthers oppression upon them, right? It says to trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. They stand boldly, they stand firm, 10 toes down on these various different things that cause you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to constantly go off, to constantly go against Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Verse 13, "Therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it a sherd to take fire from the hearth, or to take water with all out of the pit." Okay? So, the majority of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are just through, right? And there's only going to be a small number of Israelites that receive salvation on this side. Now, eventually, all of Israel will be saved, but the majority of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are going to have to die, okay? And die a horrible, gruesome, fiery death. And you have been warned through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. The men that the Lord has placed all over the four corners of the earth are constantly warning you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to repent, come out of the ways of this world, all right, to get up out of these church houses, these other doctrines, these philosophies, these coverings that you cover, right? Let's close out on that. They cover themselves with coverings, but they don't cover themselves with, the truth. Bear with me one moment. So with covering. All right, it's Isaiah 30. Which, I'm already in that chapter. It's Isaiah 30:1. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin." And they cover themselves with all these philosophies, these doctrines, the ways of the world, Roman Catholicism, Christianity, all right, the church, Jesus Christ, right? Verse 2, "That walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh." Yeah, that's that oppression that they trust in. They want to strengthen themselves in the strength of the so-called white man and his philosophies, his knowledge, his doctrine. Okay? They cry to Esau. They don't cry to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. When shit gets tough, they're in certain situations. Who do they seek help from? They seek help from the so-called white man. Okay? It says to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. All right? And this the mindset the majority of our people are in. They trust in the modern day Egypt. Okay, verse 3, "Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." Yeah, now y'all, oh my goodness, how could this happen? Why would this happen? How could the Lord let this happen? What did you expect the outcome to be? Esau Edom sits back and he says, "Plan successful." Furthermore, Yahweh Shem Yahushua took that young child out. That's the works of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, like the scripture says. What is that? Zephaniah 3:5. "Every morning does his judgment come to light." Okay. Scriptures also say, "Whoever died being innocent." So that young child wasn't innocent. This is Zephaniah 3:5. The just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. And this is the judgments, or a judgment of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua.
To find out a tragedy like this would happen on their block a day before Mother's Day.
Yeah, y'all ain't supposed to be celebrating Mother's Day right before this wicked holiday. You know, you got something like this take place. And our people refuse. That's another thing that they stand upon. They stay there on concerning these holidays. Okay, which all go back to paganism. All right, their origins were rooted in paganism, and Jake is not willing to give up these holidays, right? From the wickedest grimy nigga to the niggas sitting in the church pew, right? You best believe they're going to be celebrating Mother's Day, Christmas, everybody's birthday, including their own, right? Easter, right? All these various different holidays, Jake's partaking in it, okay? And that angers Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Lord willing, that was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rachacha Kodash. Double honors to the head apostle, and that is a great millstone who rule well and teach well. And shalom to the elect.